Prepare a full battle group and set coordinates for Earth, Commander Zorn ordered through clenched teeth. Those lying humans murdered one of our top spies, and now they'll pay with their planet's ashes. Ready the viral bomb. Their deception ends today. Juno's terrified pleas to abort the attack went unheard. Humanity had duped them all, and now they had to strike first or watch the Evora Empire crumble as easily as their vaunted stealth tech. I was on a standard recon, Juno recounted, still unsure he had actually seen what he reported. Our long-range scans showed humans as primitives, no warp signatures, no beam weapons, nothing, so I decloaked and scanned up close, a formality to log their pre-FTL culture. Then what? Zorn pressed. How did they disable our most seasoned scout and trick you into launching a war? I'm telling you, it wasn't a trick. 1 second I was scanning an antique of a planet. Then the moon split open like an egg and disgorged thousands of dreadnoughts that made ours look like rowboats. Their admiral, Logan, didn't attack. He smiled as he described Evora physiology weaknesses even our own doctors haven't published. He let me go to send a message. Earth has played possum to the galaxy for centuries, letting us Evora gain a false sense of superiority while quietly eclipsing our tech. If we attack, it validates their strategy. We need to call back the battle group. Zorn whipped around with a scarred fist raised, eyes blazing murder. Juno cringed. The battle group wouldn't reach Earth for a day. Maybe by then Zorn would calm down and see reason. As Juno slunk away, he realized with rising dread that Zorn was too proud to back down. The Terran trap had sprung, and the Evora were caught squarely in its jaws, rushing to their own mass grave against an enemy they had fatally underestimated. Juno just prayed the humans showed more mercy than his commander would in their place. If not, the Evora were doomed. Zorn stared at Juno, his hand frozen in the air, the promise of a beating forgotten. The words sank in, and his rage turned to a cold, creeping dread. Did the humans give any indication as to how they achieved such technological superiority? Zorn asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Juno nodded. Admiral Freeman was surprisingly forthcoming. He said that after the Evora's last scouting mission a century ago, which they were fully aware of, humanity realized they needed to rapidly advance their capabilities to defend against potential alien threats. So they knew we were watching even then? Zorn's eyes widened. Yes, and they poured enormous resources into research and development, but kept their progress hidden to maintain a strategic advantage. Zorn leaned forward. How did they manage to conceal such a massive undertaking? Juno explained. The Admiral claimed they used a combination of underground facilities, strict information control, and advanced counter-surveillance technology. They even fed misinformation to their own public, allowing their space program to appear stagnant, while secretly making incredible strides. Ingenious and unsettling, Zorn mused, rubbing his chin. What else did you learn? Freeman also hinted at an extensive network of human operatives embedded in various alien civilizations, including our own, gathering intelligence and sabotaging efforts against Earth. He suggested that our own rapid expansion may have been subtly influenced by human agents steering us away from their territory. Zorn's brow furrowed. Did he provide any proof of this? Juno shook his head. No concrete evidence, but he knew things about our government and military that no outsider should. It was chilling. Zorn leaned back in his chair, considering the implications. If the humans have been manipulating us for decades without our knowledge, they may be even more formidable than their technology suggests. This information could change everything. We need to reassess our strategic position and decide on a course of action. Juno nodded solemnly. I agree, Commander. The humans have been playing a far deeper game than we ever imagined. We must proceed cautiously. As silence descended upon the room, Zorn's mind raced with the implications of Juno's report. He drummed his fingers on the table, his eyes narrowing as he pondered the human's intentions. Juno, Zorn said slowly, did Admiral Freeman give any indication of humanity's intentions beyond defending Earth? Juno shifted in his seat, his brow furrowing as he recalled the conversation. He mentioned something that I found quite perplexing. He said that despite their advanced capabilities, humans have no desire for conquest or empire building. Instead, they are focused on exploration, scientific discovery, and fostering peaceful relationships with cooperative species. Zorn's eyebrows shot up in surprise. Peaceful relationships, after the show of force they put on for you? Juno nodded, his expression mirroring Zorn's skepticism. I had the same reaction, but Freeman claimed that Earth's leaders believe true strength comes from cooperation and mutual understanding, not subjugation. He said they are willing to share knowledge and resources with civilizations that demonstrate goodwill and respect for human autonomy. Zorn scoffed, leaning back in his chair. A noble sentiment, but how do we know it's not just a ploy to lull potential rivals into complacency? Juno shrugged, his hands spread in a gesture of uncertainty. It's hard to say, but Freeman did offer a small olive branch. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, translucent data chip. He gave me this, containing what he called a gesture of trust and friendship, schematics for a clean energy technology that could revolutionize our power systems. He said it was just a taste of what humanity could offer if we prove ourselves trustworthy partners. Zorn took the data chip, turning it over in his hands as he examined it thoughtfully. Interesting. We'll need to verify the authenticity and potential of this technology, but if it's legitimate, it could be a valuable bargaining chip in future negotiations with the humans. Juno leaned forward, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. There's one more thing, Commander. Freeman extended an invitation for a small Evora delegation to visit Earth under a banner of peace, to begin a dialogue between our species. He assured me that as long as we come unarmed and with open minds, we would be treated as honored guests. Zorn sat back, his eyes distant as he weighed the risks and potential benefits of such a bold move. A tempting offer, but one that requires careful consideration. We must balance the need for more information with the potential dangers of sending our people into the heart of human territory. Juno nodded in agreement, his own mind grappling with the complexities of the situation. The two Evora sat in silence, each lost in thought as they contemplated the next steps in navigating this new and complex interstellar landscape. The humans had proven to be far more than they appeared, and the Evora Empire now found itself at a crossroads, forced to re-evaluate everything they thought they knew about the galaxy and their place within it. As Zorn and Juno exited the council chamber, their minds raced with the implications of the decision. The hallway leading away from the chamber was dimly lit, with a series of glowing orbs lining the walls, casting eerie shadows on their faces as they walked. Juno, Zorn said, his voice low and serious, the task before you is of utmost importance. The future of our species may very well depend on the outcome of your mission. Juno nodded solemnly, his eyes fixed on the path ahead. I understand, Commander. I will not take this responsibility lightly. My team will do everything in our power to gather the information we need while fostering a positive relationship with the humans. I have no doubt of your capabilities, Zorn replied, placing a hand on Juno's shoulder. But be cautious. We still know so little about these humans and their true intentions. Their technological prowess alone is enough to warrant great care in our dealings with them. Agreed, Juno said, his brow furrowed in thought. I will select my delegation members carefully, ensuring that each possesses the skills and discretion necessary for such a delicate mission. As they reached the end of the hallway, Zorn turned to face Juno, his expression grave. Remember, your primary objective is to gather intelligence. Diplomacy is important, but we must have a clear understanding of what we're facing before we can commit to any lasting alliance. Juno met Zorn's gaze, his own eyes filled with determination. I will not fail, Commander. The Evora will have the information they need to make informed decisions about our future with the humans. With a final nod, Zorn turned and strode away, leaving Juno to begin the preparations for his journey to Earth. As he watched Zorn's retreating figure, Juno couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and trepidation at the prospect of meeting the humans face to face once more. The fate of his people rested on his shoulders, and he would not let them down. The secure meeting room buzzed with nervous energy as Juno and his team filed in, their faces etched with a mix of anticipation and concern. Commander Zorn stood at the head of the table, his expression grave. "I've called you here to discuss a new development that may complicate your mission," Zorn began, his voice low and serious. Juno leaned forward, his brow furrowed. "What's happened, Commander?" Zorn sighed, clasping his hands together. "Our intelligence network has uncovered rumors of a growing faction within the Galactic Council that sees humanity as a potential threat to the established order. They fear that an alliance between Earth and the Evora could disrupt the balance of power and threaten their influence." A murmur of unease rippled through the room. Juno's second-in-command, Tala, spoke up, her voice tight with concern. "Do we know which species are involved in this faction?" Zorn nodded grimly. "We believe the Krellians and the Zephyrians are the primary instigators, with several minor species offering support. Our sources suggest they may attempt to sabotage your mission, either by discrediting humanity or by sowing discord between our species." Juno's mind raced with the implications. The Krellians and Zephyrians were known for their cunning and ruthlessness, and their influence within the Galactic Council was not to be underestimated. "How do we counter this threat, Commander?" Tala asked, her eyes narrowed in determination. Zorn leaned back in his chair, his expression somber. "We must proceed with even greater caution and discretion. Trust no one outside of this room and our human contacts. Be wary of any attempts to manipulate or deceive you, and report any suspicious activity immediately." Juno nodded, his resolve hardening. "We will not let this deter us from our mission. The potential benefits of an alliance with humanity are too great to be thwarted by fear and politics." Zorn met Juno's gaze, a flicker of pride in his eyes. "I have faith in your abilities, Juno, but remember, the success of this mission may depend on your ability to navigate not just human society, but also the complex web of galactic intrigue that surrounds it." The delegation members exchanged resolute glances, their determination palpable in the air. Juno stood, his voice steady and clear. "We understand the gravity of the situation, Commander. We will remain vigilant and adapt to any challenges that arise. The future of the Evora depends on it." With final words of encouragement and caution, Zorn dismissed the team. As they filed out of the room, each member lost in their own thoughts, Juno couldn't shake the feeling that they were about to embark on a journey that would test not only their diplomatic skills, but also their resilience in the face of unseen adversaries. The stakes had never been higher, and the weight of their mission settled heavily on their shoulders as they made their final preparations for the historic journey to Earth. The fate of the Evora, and perhaps the balance of power in the galaxy, hung in the balance. As Juno and his delegation stepped off the sleek human spacecraft onto the landing pad, they were greeted by a crisp, cool breeze and the sight of a sprawling, technologically advanced cityscape. The towering skyscrapers gleamed in the sunlight, their surfaces adorned with intricate patterns and designs that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Admiral Logan Freeman, flanked by a small group of human officials, strode forward with a warm smile on his face. He extended his hand in greeting, which Juno accepted with a firm shake. "Welcome to Earth, Ambassador Juno," Freeman said, his voice rich and inviting. "We are honored to have you and your delegation here as our guests." Juno, appreciative of the warm reception, bowed his head slightly in response. "Thank you, Admiral. We come in the spirit of friendship and cooperation, hoping to forge a new era of understanding between our species." As the group made their way towards a nearby building, Juno couldn't help but marvel at the advanced technology that seemed to be integrated into every aspect of human life. From the sleek, autonomous vehicles that glided silently along the streets to the holographic displays that floated in the air, it was clear that humanity had made incredible strides in the centuries since their last encounter. Once inside the secure conference room, the talks began in earnest. Admiral Freeman and his team presented a comprehensive overview of Earth's history, culture, and technological achievements, while Juno and his delegation shared insights into Evora society and their own advancements. As the discussions progressed, Tala, Juno's second-in-command, leaned in close to him during a break in the negotiations. "Ambassador," she whispered, her eyes fixed on the human officials across the table, "have you noticed the small devices attached to their wrists? They seem to be some sort of advanced communication technology." Juno nodded, his own curiosity piqued. "Yes, I noticed that as well. They're far more sophisticated than anything we've encountered before. We should inquire about them when the opportunity arises." When the talks resumed, Juno saw his chance. "Admiral Freeman," he said, gesturing towards the human official's wrists, "we couldn't help but notice the intriguing devices your team is wearing. Could you enlighten us about their function?" Freeman smiled, a glint of pride in his eyes. "You have a keen eye, Ambassador. These are our quantum entangled communicators, or QECs for short. They allow for instantaneous, secure communication across vast distances, even between star systems." Tala's eyes widened in amazement. "That's incredible. Such technology could revolutionize interstellar diplomacy and trade." Freeman nodded in agreement. "Indeed it could, and that's just one example of the advancements we're willing to share with our allies. However, we must be selective in who we entrust with such knowledge, given the potential for misuse." Juno, understanding the implications, assured the Admiral, "Of course, Admiral. The Evora are committed to the responsible use of any technology shared between our peoples. We believe in the power of knowledge to unite, not divide." As the conversation continued, Juno and Tala exchanged a meaningful glance, realizing that the QECs were just a glimpse into the vast potential of human innovation. They knew that fostering a strong, trusting relationship with Earth would be crucial in the days to come, not only for the benefit of their own species but for the balance of power in the galaxy as a whole. As the negotiations continued, Admiral Freeman arranged for a tour of one of Earth's most advanced research facilities, eager to showcase the ingenuity and cooperative spirit of humanity. Juno and Tala were escorted through gleaming corridors, lined with state-of-the-art laboratories, and bustling with scientists from various disciplines. In one particularly impressive lab, they were introduced to Dr. Liam Hoffman, a brilliant human scientist with a warm smile and an infectious enthusiasm for his work. "Ambassador Juno, Tala, welcome to the Hoffman Lab. I'd like to show you something we've been working on. We call it the Unity Translator." Juno, intrigued by the name, asked, "What does it do, Dr. Hoffman?" Hoffman's eyes sparkled as he explained, "It's a device that can instantly translate any known language, both spoken and written, in real time. But it's more than just a simple translator. It also interprets cultural nuances, idioms, and context, allowing for seamless communication between species." Tala's eyes widened in amazement. "That's remarkable. Such a device could break down barriers and foster understanding between cultures that might otherwise struggle to find common ground." Hoffman nodded, his enthusiasm growing. "Precisely. Our goal is to create a tool that promotes empathy and cooperation, not just translation. We believe that true understanding comes from appreciating the subtleties and complexities of each other's ways of thinking and expressing ourselves." Juno, impressed by the scientist's vision, commented, "This is a testament to humanity's commitment to fostering peaceful relationships through innovation. The Unity Translator could be a game-changer in interstellar diplomacy." Hoffman smiled, clearly pleased by Juno's recognition of the device's potential. "We hope so, Ambassador, and we're eager to collaborate with the Evora and other like-minded species to refine and expand the technology. Imagine a future where misunderstandings and conflicts arising from cultural differences become a thing of the past." As the tour continued, Tala leaned in and whispered to Juno, "The humans never cease to amaze me. Their ability to create technologies that bridge gaps and bring people together is truly inspiring." Juno nodded in agreement, his own mind racing with the possibilities. It's a reflection of their values and priorities. They seem to understand that true strength comes from unity and understanding, not just military might or technological superiority. The delegation left the research facility with a renewed sense of hope and purpose, seeing the potential for a future where species across the galaxy could communicate and cooperate more effectively, thanks to the visionary efforts of human scientists like Dr. Hoffman. The Unity Translator was just one example of the many groundbreaking projects they had witnessed during their visit, each one a testament to humanity's commitment to fostering a more connected and harmonious galactic community. As they returned to the conference room to continue their discussions with Admiral Freeman and his team, Juno couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement and optimism. The Evora had come to Earth seeking answers and allies, and they had found both in abundance. The humans' willingness to share their knowledge and technology, coupled with their genuine desire for peaceful cooperation, was a refreshing change from the suspicion and rivalry that often characterized interspecies relations. As Juno and Tala returned to the negotiation table, Admiral Freeman leaned forward, his expression grave. "Ambassador Juno, I'm afraid we have some concerning intelligence to share with you." Juno, sensing the seriousness in Freeman's tone, nodded. "Please, go on, Admiral." "We have reason to believe that certain factions within the Galactic Council are actively working to undermine the potential alliance between our species," Freeman revealed. Juno exchanged a knowing glance with Tala before responding, "We have heard similar rumors, Admiral. The Krellians and Zephyrians in particular seem to view our budding relationship as a threat to their influence." Freeman nodded, his eyes narrowing. "Our sources confirm this. However, we've also learned that they plan to exploit the upcoming Galactic Trade Summit to spread misinformation and sow discord among the attending species." Tala, her brow furrowed with concern, asked, "How do they intend to do this, Admiral?" Freeman sighed, leaning back in his chair. "They've apparently developed a sophisticated AI propaganda tool that can generate convincing fake news articles, videos, and even holographic recordings. They plan to use this tool to create and distribute false stories about human aggression and expansionism." Juno's expression darkened. "That could be devastating to our efforts. If other species believe these lies, they may turn against Earth, and any who ally with them." "Exactly," Freeman agreed, "but we have a plan to counter this threat. Our own AI experts have created a program that can detect and expose these fake materials in real time. We call it the Truth Seeker." Tala's eyes widened, impressed. "Fighting AI with AI, that's a clever approach." Freeman continued, "We propose a joint operation. Our Truth Seeker AI, combined with the Evora's extensive diplomatic network, could help us identify and debunk these false narratives before they take root. Together, we can ensure that the truth about humanity and our intentions is heard loud and clear at the summit." As the meeting concluded, Tala turned to Juno, her voice low but filled with admiration. "The humans continue to prove their ingenuity and commitment to truth. It's no wonder they've come so far, even in the face of adversity." Juno nodded, a small smile playing at the corners of his mouth. "And with our combined efforts, we'll ensure that the galaxy sees humanity for what it truly is, a force for progress, cooperation, and understanding." As they exited the conference room, Juno and Tala walked side by side down the corridor, their footsteps echoing off the polished floors. The weight of their mission had never felt more significant, but they drew strength from the knowledge that they had powerful allies in the humans. "We'll need to brief the rest of the delegation immediately," Juno said, his mind already racing with the logistics of the joint operation. "The summit is only a few days away, and we must be prepared to counter any attempts to mislead the other species." Tala nodded, her expression determined. "I'll contact our intelligence network and ensure they're ready to work closely with the Truth Seeker AI. We can't afford to let any false information slip through the cracks." As they rounded a corner, Juno paused, placing a hand on Tala's shoulder. "You know, when we first arrived on Earth, I had my doubts about the humans' intentions. But with each passing day, they've proven themselves to be not just technologically advanced, but also principled and committed to the greater good." Tala smiled, her eyes meeting Juno's. "It's a testament to their character, isn't it? Despite their incredible capabilities, they choose to use their power to unite and protect, rather than dominate and control. Juno chuckled softly, shaking his head in amazement. And to think we once believed them to be primitive, if only we had known then what we know now. As they continued down the corridor, their conversation turned to the challenges ahead, and the importance of their mission. The fate of not just the Evora, but the entire galaxy, hung in the balance. But with humanity by their side, they knew they had a fighting chance to overcome the forces of division and deceit. The Galactic Trade Summit loomed on the horizon, a crucible in which the future of interstellar relations would be forged. And Juno and Tala were determined to ensure that the truth, no matter how complex or challenging, would emerge victorious. As the Galactic Trade Summit buzzed with activity, Juno and Tala navigated the crowded halls, their minds still reeling from the revelations of the past few days. The human delegation, led by Admiral Freeman, had proven to be invaluable allies, their commitment to truth and cooperation a beacon of hope in an increasingly turbulent galaxy. Suddenly a nervous-looking Zephyrian diplomat approached them, his eyes darting furtively around the room. "Ambassador Juno," he whispered, motioning for them to follow him to a secluded corner. "I know our species have had our differences, but I have information that I believe you and your human allies need to hear." Juno exchanged a cautious glance with Tala before nodding. "Go on, Kalen. What do you have to share?" Kalen took a deep breath, his hands trembling slightly as he spoke. "There are those within my government who have been secretly collaborating with the Krellians to develop a new type of weapon, a neurological disruptor that can target and manipulate the minds of entire populations." Tala's eyes widened in alarm. "What do they intend to do with this weapon?" Kalen's voice dropped to a hoarse whisper. "They plan to use it against Earth, to turn humanity against itself, and any species that allies with them. They believe that by destroying the human-Evora partnership, they can maintain their grip on power in the galaxy." Juno's brow furrowed in shock. "How do you know all this, Kalen?" Kalen's shoulders slumped, his expression a mix of guilt and determination. "Because I was part of the research team, but when I discovered the true purpose of the project, I couldn't stand by and watch. I may not trust humans, but I know that this kind of manipulation is wrong." Tala grabbed Juno's arm, her voice urgent. "We must warn Admiral Freeman and the human leadership at once. If this weapon is deployed, it could be catastrophic." Juno nodded, his mind already racing with the implications of Kalen's revelation. "Agreed. Kalen, are you willing to share your knowledge with our human allies? Your testimony could be crucial in stopping this plot." Kalen hesitated for a moment, the weight of his decision evident in his eyes. Then, with a resolute nod, he said, "Yes, I'll do whatever I can to prevent this madness. The galaxy needs more cooperation, not more conflict." As they hurried through the crowded summit halls in search of Admiral Freeman, Tala turned to Juno, a glimmer of hope in her eyes. "It seems that even in the face of such a dire threat, humanity's example of seeking truth and fostering understanding is beginning to inspire change in others." Juno smiled, his own heart swelling with a newfound sense of purpose. "And it's that very spirit of unity and cooperation that will be our greatest weapon against those who seek to divide us." Their footsteps echoed through the halls as they raced against time, the fate of not just Earth, but the entire galaxy hanging in the balance. The information Kalen had provided was a game-changer, a crucial piece of the puzzle that could unravel the sinister plot threatening to tear the fragile fabric of interstellar peace apart. As they finally spotted Admiral Freeman in the distance, deep in conversation with a group of delegates, Juno and Tala exchanged a determined glance. They knew that the road ahead would be fraught with challenges and dangers, but with the truth on their side and the support of their human allies, they were ready to face whatever lay ahead. Kalen, his face etched with a mixture of fear and resolve, quickened his pace to keep up with the Evora diplomats. The weight of his betrayal hung heavy on his shoulders, but the knowledge that he was doing the right thing propelled him forward. He knew that by speaking out against the insidious plot, he was not only protecting humanity, but also safeguarding the future of his own people. As they approached Admiral Freeman, Juno could feel the urgency of the moment thrumming through his veins. The revelations of the past few minutes had shattered the illusion of peace and stability that had pervaded the summit, revealing a darker, more sinister reality lurking beneath the surface. But even in the face of such a daunting threat, Juno found himself drawing strength from the unwavering determination and ingenuity of his human allies. If anyone could find a way to counter the neurological disruptor and expose the machinations of those who sought to wield it, it was the brilliant minds of Earth. Admiral Freeman, noticing the grim expressions on Juno and Tala's faces, politely excused himself from his conversation and strode towards them, his brow furrowed with concern. "Ambassador Juno, Tala," he greeted them, his eyes flickering to Kalen's nervous figure. "Is everything all right?" Juno shook his head, his voice low and urgent. "I'm afraid not, Admiral. We have just learned of a grave threat to Earth and the stability of the galaxy as a whole. We need to speak with you and your team immediately, in a secure location." Freeman's expression hardened, his posture straightening as he grasped the gravity of the situation. "Of course, follow me." As they made their way through the crowded summit halls, Juno could feel the weight of the galaxy's future pressing down upon them. The path ahead was uncertain, the dangers numerous, but with the truth as their guide and the strength of their newfound alliances, he knew that they would stop at nothing to protect the fragile peace they had worked so hard to build. As the gravity of Kalen's revelation sank in, the atmosphere in the meeting room grew heavy with tension. Admiral Freeman leaned forward, his brow furrowed with concern. This neurological disruptor poses an existential threat to the very fabric of galactic peace and freedom. We cannot allow it to be deployed. Juno nodded, his expression grim. "The Evora will stand with Earth in confronting this menace. Our two species have come too far in building trust and cooperation to let the Krellians and Zephyrians tear it all down." Freeman clasped his hands together, his eyes hardening with resolve. "We have a covert ops team, the best of the best, who specialize in neutralizing advanced technological threats like this. With Kalen's insider knowledge and the Evora's diplomatic support, we may be able to launch a surgical strike to take out the weapon before it can be used." Tala shifted in her seat, a flicker of worry crossing her face. "But won't such an operation risk escalating tensions with the Krellians and Zephyrians even further? We could be pushing the galaxy to the brink of war." Kalen leaned forward, his voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "It's a risk we have to take. If we don't act now, the consequences could be unimaginable. A galaxy under the thrall of mind control, free will erased, entire civilizations reduced to puppets. That's a fate worse than war." As the room fell silent, each participant grappling with the enormity of the decision before them, Juno's thoughts drifted to the events that had led them to this point. When he first encountered humanity's hidden fleet, he never could have imagined it would lead to this, a covert war to save the galaxy from the specter of mass mind control. Tala, as if sensing Juno's train of thought, murmured, "It's remarkable, isn't it? The humans, after centuries of isolation, are willing to throw themselves into the line of fire to protect the freedom of species they barely know. That kind of resolve, that commitment to principle, it's extraordinary." Juno nodded, a faint smile tugging at his lips despite the gravity of the situation. "It's a testament to their character. They could have remained hidden, safe in their isolation, but they chose to stand up for what's right, no matter the cost." As the plan for the joint operation began to take shape, with Freeman and his team laying out the details of the infiltration, and Kalen providing critical information about the Krellian-Zephyrian research facility, Juno felt a swell of pride and determination. The humans and Evora, two species that had started as wary strangers, were now united in a common cause, ready to fight side by side for the soul of the galaxy. The road ahead would be perilous, the risks great, but in that moment, as Juno looked around the room at the faces of his allies, both old and new, he knew that they would face the challenges to come together, bound by a shared commitment to freedom, justice, and the unbreakable spirit of those who refuse to submit to tyranny. The operation to destroy the neurological disruptor was as swift as it was brutal. Earth's covert ops team, armed with cutting-edge technology and unparalleled skill, infiltrated the Krelian-Zephyrian research facility under the cover of darkness, guided by Kalen's intimate knowledge of the compound's layout and security systems. In a matter of hours, the team had breached the facility's defenses, fought their way to the heart of the complex, and planted a series of powerful explosives at critical junctures. As they made their escape, the night sky erupted in a blaze of fire and debris, the facility collapsing in on itself like a dying star, the neurological disruptor reduced to ash and molten metal. But the victory came at a terrible cost. Several members of the covert ops team, including Admiral Freeman's own son, Lieutenant Marcus Freeman, were lost in the fierce firefight that erupted as they made their escape. The Krelians and Zephyrians, enraged by the attack and humiliated by the exposure of their secret project, lashed out in retaliation, launching a series of vicious skirmishes and diplomatic offensives that threatened to plunge the galaxy into chaos. As Juno and Tala prepared to depart Earth and return to Evora space, they met with a somber Admiral Freeman one last time. The once indomitable leader seemed to have aged years in the span of days, his eyes heavy with the weight of grief and the burden of command. "We struck a blow for freedom today," Freeman said, his voice rough with emotion. "But the war for the galaxy's future is far from over. The Krelians and Zephyrians will not rest until they have had their revenge, and there will be others like them, always seeking to impose their will on the masses." Juno placed a hand on Freeman's shoulder, a gesture of solidarity and shared pain. "The Evora will stand with Earth no matter what comes. Your people's bravery and sacrifice will never be forgotten." Freeman nodded, a flicker of gratitude breaking through the cloud of sorrow that enveloped him. "We will continue to fight for what's right, no matter the cost. It's the only way to honor those we've lost." As Juno and Tala boarded their ship, the weight of the galaxy's fate heavy on their shoulders, Tala turned to Juno, her eyes shining with a mix of grief and admiration. "The humans have shown us the true meaning of courage and principle in the face of adversity. They may have hidden their strength for centuries, but now the galaxy knows the truth, that humanity will never stop fighting for what they believe in, no matter the odds." You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.